Okay, so this is the confusing thing with this, because it has two N's in the end of the spelling, right?
Yes.
But it's still Aprishnaya.
No.
Aprishnaya.
Aprishnaya. Yeah.
So one of the biggest challenges with learning languages is when you memorize based on what you hear, you often don't actually correctly hear something, and you create an image that gets really, really strong in your mind, but it's the wrong image. So you're remembering something right that is wrong. And this frustrates you when you're learning a language because, you know, we don't like to be frustrated. It's frustrating. But the thing is a lot of people who use memory techniques, they let that become an issue, a problem, but it isn't really. All you need to do is correct the image and then use recall rehearsal to make sure that you're getting it correctly, and then get it correctly again and again and again. So one of the things that I first heard was actually not Aprishnaya, but Aprishnaya. So I used this particular image that was more based in Pritchard, which is a place, and that doesn't get the preach sound. So now I got to put a preacher there. No big deal. Then I asked for the spelling of the Cyrillic so I could actually look it up and hear a number of different speakers speaking it. And then I was like, wait a second, this isn't Nia. It's like Nina. It's got another N sound because I could see it in the Cyrillic, and then I could hear other people saying it. So then you just massage it. Now, you can talk about little individual words all that you want, but it's the same thing with phrases. So with Chinese, for example, I don't get the tones always correct, but I speak with my wife, and my wife, her little soul be blessed, she finds opportunities to use those sentences over and over and over again throughout the day, and she'll stop and correct, make sure that I'm actually pronouncing the tones correctly. But the whole point is that you need your mistakes. You need to hear things wrong, and you need to remember them wrong, and get them out through your mouth, and then look at them from multiple instances of how they're used by multiple people, and not get frustrated by the differences, but get real interested in them, and get interested in how you heard it in the first place, and create a genealogy of the learning, and hold on to that original thing. Don't see it as a barrier, because actually I can remember in my mind that I used to call it Aprishnaya, and that it should be something more like Aprishnina. This is that simple. The only problem is that I'm not really studying Russian right now, so you gotta pick your battles at the end of the day. But isn't it fun? It is fun, as long as you don't make your memory your enemy, because it's actually your friend, and mistakes are a huge part of the progress if you give them the history that they deserve. So whenever I go into a new cafe, one of the first things that I'm going to think about is where are the squares, right? Because this one in particular has kind of a J shaped, maybe like a reverse J shape, and then there's a partition right in front of me that is separating the customer area from the serving and preparation area. And there's just like a lot going on, so you've got to kind of start to make decisions in your mind what's going to make this a very useful memory palace so you can get it down. And already starting to make decisions where will be the starting point relative to an exit, what exit will be the best exit to use, and so forth. And while you're doing that, you start noticing, oh well, one of the people who works here is named Emma. the other one's named Rachel, and then there's someone named Nate, and so forth. And then you can test yourself and see the next time they walk by, oh yeah, okay, that was Nate, and oh, that was Emma, and that was Rachel, and so forth. And then you notice, oh, this one in particular isn't even wearing a name tag, so maybe you can ask their name at a certain point if you want. These are like little things that go on in order to not only develop spatial memory, but also to actually use your memory while you're in the place. And you know, if you made a mistake, that's a great way to just make a mistake without any consequence, because you don't have to say, hey Rachel, thank you, or hey Emma, thank you, or hey Nate, thank you. You just can have a private celebration inside of yourself. You can also test it by writing down, when you're drawing your memory palace, writing down the names of the people that you remember, and in a very low consequential testing way, actually when the next time you see them you go, ah yeah, I did get that right. It's a great way to exercise your memory while you're creating a memory palace. But basically that's what I do when I enter a new place, is just start to think, where are the squares? Where are the places where there are corners that are going to be very easy to remember? I happen to have my memory journal with me now, so I can make a quick sketch. But even if you don't make a quick sketch, if you just think about the basic shape, if you relate the shape of the place to a letter, like for example here I see very much a reverse J. It's not really an L, but a reverse J. Know where the exits are, know where the serving area was, the customer area, know the divisions, and you're just essentially like an artist, you're blocking, knowing a bit about the negative space, so to speak, and then to make it even more memorable, take a moment just to remember the names of the people there. Very simple. They're wearing name tags, right? And it's a great way to just use your memory, and it makes the memory palace more memorable if you're using a cafe. And yeah, that's basically it. And it's a lot of fun, and it's very useful if you use it, which is the final thing that I'll say, is that this Merlot memory palace is only as useful as the use that it's put to. So we're going to have to figure out what we're going to use it for, and in the case of magnetic memory methods of language learning, why not with some vocabulary words or phrases that contain vocabulary words as their keywords or their core words that start with M, because then you're capitalizing on natural association. And because you've taken time, and I hope you really do this, to remember, what was it, Emma, Rachel, and Nate, now you've got bridging figures to work with, and you can call them to mind and actually use them as tools to help you remember words and phrases, or it could be dates of composers, or whatever the heck it is that you're sticking in that memory palace. You've got more material to work with just because you used your memory in the moment that you were using your memory one extra step further, one little more level of depth. It gives you more connections to make later. Remember, everything that you do with memory is about making connections. As many connections as you possibly can. Because like a person laying a road, your brain is laying roads, and the quality of that road depends on the amount of connections that you make. So when you make memory palaces, make connections to the memory palace by not only remembering details of the place that you're in, such as the names of the people that work there if it's a cafe, but also by then going out and instantly using it as soon as possible. So hope that little tutorial helped, and talk to you soon. Until soon, keep yourself magnetic.